Welcome back to Gun Tote Minnesota. So today I want to compare two shooting mats. I want to compare the Midway USA. It's kind of their baseline mat. It's the cheapest one. It's the thinnest, no padding or anything like that, against the NC Star, their cheapest version, which is a padded mat. Different dimensions. One's padded, one's not. So let's take a look. All right, so first up, this is the Midway USA shooting mat. Now both these mats, I'm just going to tell you up front, I would suggest getting either one. They're fantastic, but there are some advantages and maybe a disadvantage to each of them, and so I'll talk about that real quick. First of all, this Midway USA mat right here is definitely a great summer mat. It's not padded, and when you get into snowy conditions and stuff like this, as you start to warm up the ground beneath you and you melt the snow, there's less of a flat surface going on, and it does kind of make an unlevel surface to shoot off of. It is longer though, overall. It's thinner, less wide than the NC Star mat. But this is what I'm using right now. I'm getting ready for the National Rifle League 22 competition with my CZ 455. You see it's got flaps on the side, some staking points, which I've never really had too much of an issue just finding something, a stick or a rock to put down and hold it down. So that's what I'm messing around with a little bit today. But normally, this is what I use. This is the NC Star shooting mat. And this is the one that's padded. It's not terribly thick padded, but it definitely is padded. I would say just a little bit less than like your camping mat, like a blue camping foam mat. It's definitely wider than the Midway is, but it's going to be a little bit shorter, just a little bit shorter overall, and it's less grippy. It's less PVC material, but there are reinforced pieces for elbows, knees maybe, things along those lines. But these are the shooting mats. Like I said, in the winter, this definitely keeps you insulated from the ground when it's cold. It's 0 degrees right now. This mat barely does. Keeps you dry, and that's about it. And then it gives you kind of a dry place to put your things. And this keeps you dry. It doesn't absorb water very well. It sheds water pretty decently, I should say. And so oftentimes in winter, this is the one I'm going to go with. But this is not a bad mat at all. Definitely more of a summer deal for me, and then a winter deal on this one. The weight, that's about half the weight that this one is. But both of them are pretty light. This one might be, I want to say about 4 pounds, 3 pounds, 4 pounds, something to that effect. And then this guy over here, I'll show you when they're both wrapped up, by the way. But this one is going to be half that weight and half the size, really. Great shooting mats. Let me take a few shots. All right. So the extra length really comes in handy when it is cold out, but there's not a lot of padding to this, so there's not a lot of insulation either. Keeps my knees dry, and the PVC material, like I said, is definitely grippier. For sure grippier. Grabs those rubber feet on the shooting legs on my bipod pretty nicely. And get this off. There we go. So this National Rifle League competition, most of it is, kind of untraditional firing positions. There are a few prone position shooting stages, which makes me happy because, of course, I do a lot of prone shooting. But it's going to be interesting. Shooting this rifle, which this rifle is perfect, man. I have no complaints. But shooting it like in really non-traditional shooting stances, it's going to humble me, that's for sure. Because no problem is going to exist from the rifle. It's going to be me. I just know it. Be my lack of training, my lack of skill. But anyways, with the shooting mat. Nice length. Good enough width for me. I'm 6'5". I am about 220. Ever-changing weight, but I'm about 220. Let's see here. Man, this primary arms, it's good stuff. I like the new primary arms that are coming out, though. I think I'd really like to get into that platinum class. I just don't have an extra $1,000 sitting around for a 22 optic. But for a $200 optic, this thing just kills it. It's fantastic. Take a shot. Starting to feel the cold come through the mat. Like I said, it's 0 degrees out. Nice, not a bad little group. So this mat, again, in the winter time, you just got to dress right. You got to wear enough layers. I'm wearing 2 coats and a sweater, and for 0 degrees, I'm doing okay for a half hour or so. When it comes to real cold conditions, if you've seen some of my sub-zero shooting videos, shooting it's like 10 below out, and with the wind chill, even sometimes colder. In those really nasty conditions, for sure, I'm going to prefer the padded mat. I might even bring a second mat along, just as a little extra length or insulation, because that's pretty rough. And then you got to dress right. Once you get below that 0 point, it is kind of hard to make this work. I mean, even with your fingers, 0 degrees is cold. Most people don't shoot when it's this cold anyways. Not to mention the unlevel surface, and that's one thing I'll comment about real quick, is the snow has been walked on here. It's all wavy. It's not super flat. And so where I'm shooting, yeah, I had to do some funky work, and that's why we have levels on a rifle though, right? Nice. There we go. Oh, one more. Don't want to ruin the group. We got to finish it off. 5 rounds. Here we go. Excellent group. It's at 35 yards, which is not far away at all. If you want to see long range shooting, watch my other ones. Shoot at 200 and 300 yards, but shooting at 35 yards. And we're shooting 1/4 inch groups, like basically no problem. And we go down 1. Sometimes, if you wonder why I'm dialing 0 to 25 yards, sometimes I'll just draw one target out there, and then I'll just dial around, so I don't have to draw so many targets. And then I just shoot off those. You know what? Let's move over to the NC Star mat real quick for my camera dice from the cold. Take a couple shots. Safety on. All right, we're in a pretty unlevel spot here, and it helps to have that little bit of padding because it gives it a little bit more levelness to nature. One thing I'm gonna have to do on this 455, I'll tell you what, if you're as big as I am, the stock's length of pull is a little short. It is a little short. I heard that in a couple videos. I moved my scope forward as far as I could, and honestly, it's not enough. I'm gonna have to put in about a 1/2 inch to get that where I want it to. And I'm wearing coats too. So that means in the summer it's all that much more. All right. So I'm using Federal Auto Match, which is you know what, for some reason it runs pretty well on these rifles. Helps when you have the safety off. That was a good flinch test, right? Ooh, bullseye. Dead center. That's a 1/4 inch target. fighting the ground here a little bit. That's why you got to have a good cant in your bipod too. That's why I buy CZ rifles. That group right there, that's just incredulous. Even at 35 yards, it's not all that impressive to shoot a quarter inch group, 5 shots at 35 yards with a 22 rifle. That's not so insane. It's just how easy it is for me with this rifle. This rifle is a very precise rifle, and shooting off the shooting mat, it's insulating for me from the ground. I'm not thinking about being cold or anything like that. It's just surprising. Gives me that extra padding, and it just helps me work with this really unlevel ground. It's about a 4-inch difference from leg to leg. If you can see that I'm having to fight the ground a little bit here. UTG bipod, I should really do a review on that. I have several for a reason, so I should definitely finish up that review. This shooting mat though, it is a favorite of mine. I suggest them both highly. I suggest this rifle very highly because, like I said, it's a very precise rifle, and it helps me be accurate. Remember the difference between precision and accuracy. That word gets kind of used wrong a lot. Precision is the instrument, how well it's manufactured, tight of tolerances, all those kinds of things. So I'm not going to get into it more than that. And then accuracy has to do with you. And if this is very precise and built in a certain way, it may help you be accurate, but you ultimately with your fundamentals are either accurate or inaccurate. This rifle is very precise. Gosh, same hole. Absolutely same hole. Alright, sorry about that. My camera died last time I was filming, and it's actually colder out today than it was last time, so I probably have 30 seconds or a minute before that phone shuts off. I'm going to give you the brief of it. I like this mat for the extra width that it has. It's not really a real long mat. If you're going to get a thick padded mat, it kind of makes sense to have a longer mat too, but it's got enough. It's got reinforced patches for elbows and knees in about the right spot if your bipod is off the mat. If your bipod is on the mat, you might want to flip it around to make that line up a little differently. There's 2 different directions you could lay it out as far as which your body orientation is on the mat. But overall, it's a pretty solid buy. For 25 bucks, there's pretty much nothing you can lose. You'll find a reason to use it. You'll find a way to use it. And if you're shooting in the cold like I am, the wind chill, it's like 12 below right now, you have to have something like this. In fact, earlier today, when it was colder out, I was using a sun reflector mat on top of this, and that really helps quite a bit actually. But some insulation off the ground helps. The gravel I'm shooting on isn't real level. It helps level things out a little bit more than the other mat does. And then ultimately, it's just a nice dry place to keep things. When it is a little warm out, it's like 30 degrees, 32 degrees, and the snow is melting. It just helps keep you a little dry, and it gives you a place to put your things down a little more efficiently. And so overall, I use both mats. One is more of a summer mat. This one's more of a winter mat. But this one is harder to carry. It weighs more. It takes up more space, and the other one is much smaller. So if you're a minimalist all the time, I'd say go with the other one and sun reflector. Put those 2 together, and that's a real small package. If you have the space or the ability, like I carry this one on my Everly stock. I can carry it on exterior of my Everly stock here, and I'll show you that in a second. And that works really, really well. But if you just didn't have the extra space, I'd say you'd have to go with a smaller mat, because this thing it's kind of a big donut to pack on your backpack. So I'll show you that here real quick. Man, you get frostbite fast when it's this cold. Especially if you've already had frostbite, it gets easier and easier each time you get it. The damage in your hands will be quick. Alright, so I usually just fold it in half like this and then roll it. Like that. And actually, I usually come from the other side so I can throw it on the pack with the handle, but whatever, this works. Just going home anyways. Just like that. There it is. That's the Vism padded shooting mat, and then the other one is the Midway USA. Both I've gotten for around the same price, right around that $25 price point. So pretty good mats. Gun toting Minnesotan.